Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this week's Game of Thrones video is going to be all about Tyrion, Daenerys, and what's going on in the East when we pick up with Season 6. We're mostly caught up with the books with their storylines, and the stuff that's been filming that we know about that's going on in Westeros is really super spoilery. So it seemed like a pretty good time to talk about horses and dragons. Just careful for spoilers for everything that's happened on the show so far, and everything that the show has done from the books. And new round of the giveaway starts now too. Yay for free stuff. It's just a copy of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, either Kindle or paperback. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. So here we go. Catching up with Daenerys first. She's been taken by the Khalasar. We don't know who, but in the books, she's taken by Khal Jacko, who basically took the largest portion of Khal Drogo's forces after he died off during Season 1. The thing about the Dothraki is that it's all about survival of the fittest, so anytime one Khal dies, another will swoop in to try and take all the men, the horses, the resources. So that's where Khal Jacko comes in, and it seems like the show has cast his character. They haven't confirmed it, so it's still speculation. But of all the big Dothraki characters that you can do after Khal Drogo, Jacko is at the top of the list. So if Daenerys is going to win the loyalty of the Dothraki, which she definitely needs those forces, she's going to have to work with Khal Jacko. There's a number of different ways she could do that. She could win the respect of all the Dothraki using her dragons, or easier, she could just marry him. That would probably be the easier route to go. So that's probably what the show's going to end up doing. Just because it's a story all about sacrifice, Daenerys would have to sacrifice her freedom in getting married to him. But as of right now, just with Daenerys' storyline, she's largely subdued Meereen, so why would she need those Dothraki forces? Why would she need that large army? She hasn't really expressed an interest in going to Westeros yet. She seems relatively entrenched with her goal of pacifying Slaver's Bay. And that is where new problems arise. Now you do have Tyrion and Varys that are in Meereen, so any big problems day-to-day that arise, they're going to try and handle. You have things like daily governance, health problems like the bloody flux, and then you have other forces from Slaver's Bay rearing their heads again. She's already visited and pacified Astapor and then Yunkai, but she left, like she took her army and she went to Meereen. So the wise masters of Yunkai rear their heads again in the books, so they might bring them back on the show as well and use them as an opposing force, use them as like the Boltons of the East. You have big battles with Boltons going on in Westeros during Season 6. I think something similar will be going on in the East, and that's where like the wise masters, the other combined forces of Slaver's Bay come in. So Tyrion and Varys and Daenerys, consequently, will have to find a way to defend Meereen against internal threats as well as external. And then you have the health threats like the bloody flux. The show hasn't really done a whole lot with that though, so they might just toss that aside or mention something in passing. Sometimes when the show skips plots, like they'll either have like a character mention something or mention another character, but you won't actually see it on screen. The bloody flux is just what they call dysentery in A Song of Ice and Fire, so very ugly, very disgusting ailment to get. They also call it the pale mare, so people are terrified of mounting the pale mare. That is why it is so important to teach your children to wash their hands. But regardless of how these threats all converge, Tyrion and Varys will probably learn about the threat first, then Daenerys will have to hear about something consequently because she's way further north in the east. She'll be closer to the Dothraki, see, she'll be somewhat removed from the action for a little while. One of the good things about flying on a dragon is that they go really far, really fast. But because the start of each season usually picks up in the moments after the preceding finale, I think that Drogon's still going to be out of commission for a little while, at least for the first episode or so. There are reports of the Dothraki people going to Northern Ireland to film scenes. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to Westeros. They might be using that as a double for the Dothraki Sea. So I think there will be a big Dothraki battle eventually. But either it will be like a bunch of different Khals just warring with each other, or it'll be relative to this Meereen plot. Either way, I still think it's going to be a while before Daenerys marshals a large army and takes them to Westeros. Remember, they pretty much said gonna be 8 seasons, so I think they're gonna push a lot of the biggest action, like the biggest battles with Daenerys in Westeros, to season 8. The weird thing though is that they've changed a lot of filming locations, so they've been filming a lot of scenes together, like in close proximity to other characters' scenes that don't necessarily cross over. It's just that certain locations double for multiple places. Just for example, the Riverland stuff happens in Northern Ireland as well as the stuff up near Winterfell in the north. Last season, they also used Spain for both Daenerys' internal scenes, like when she was inside, as well as the Dorne scenes. So usually when you hear about multiple characters in the same place, it's just one of the quirks of production. But let me know in the comments, here's my big question for you guys. Do you think that Daenerys is going to have to deal with a Dothraki civil war? Or do you think that the Dothraki are going to be fighting someone else? I feel like they want to keep Daenerys and Tyrion and Varys storylines just a little bit separate so that they can do the Tyrion Varys Laurel and Hardy thing. They can give them a lot of really good scenes together just by themselves. And they can give Daenerys like a separate challenge for her to deal with on her own. Up to this point, each time Daenerys has had like a really big problem, she has had people to lean on, advisors to lean on. So I think they want to take that crutch away for a little while. Just compounding that, I also think they want to take the crutch of Drogon away just for a little bit. Just for a little bit, mind you. I don't think they're going to bench him for the entire season. That would be blasphemous. But just to address some of the other stuff that's been going on, they've been filming a lot of northern stuff in and around the Boltons, especially rumors of big main characters coming back and Ramsay Bolton doing something really terrible to them. It's all wild speculation and it's super spoilery, but if you want to talk about it, I mean, it's totally okay. Just please use spoiler tags in the comments. Just the thought is that they're going to do a similar version of what they did to Shireen in episode 9, except it's going to be Ramsay Bolton burning someone alive. And it's supposed to be someone we love and we haven't seen in a couple seasons. Everybody theorycraft now. And while you guys are at it, congratulations to last week's giveaway winner, Ethan Hodge. I hope I'm saying your name right. You win a copy of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact info. And if for some reason like things get crazy this week and I don't have time to do a Q&A video, I'll announce the giveaway winner whenever I post my next Game of Thrones video. So no worries. We are getting dangerously close to Jessica Jones. And if you don't know anything about that, I'll add a link for the trailer in the description. It is going to be badass. It's the next big Marvel Netflix series. So while you guys wait for that to post, just in case you haven't seen like my giant mega Game of Thrones playlist of all the bonus videos that I've done, you can click here. It has like everything going all the way back to season 4. And you can click here for that Jessica Jones trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.